Forest elephants are one of the most beautiful creatures I've encountered during my lifetime.
Généralement, quand moi je rencontre les éléphants, j'ai de la joie au cœur. L'éléphant, c'est pour moi comme mon enfant, comme mon père, comme ma mère. Et que je trouve la dépouille, je pleure comme si je pleurais un être humain.
In the past decade, more than 60% of the forest elephants have been lost within Central Africa. The elephant loss here is much higher than anywhere else in Africa.
This is an elephant carcass, but this elephant was killed by poacher.
There has been an explosion in ivory trafficking. We need urgent action.
Si on n'arrête pas cette hémorragie des grands braconnages, on va arriver à la perte de l'espèce.
C'est la guerre. Je dois vaincre.
Chien, chien, chien! Oui, il rentre ici.
Our job now is to make sure that they are arrested.
Entrez là-bas! Allez là-bas!
Each one of us has a duty. If you abdicate your duty, you are failing the human race.
Not everybody should go to Africa to protect elephants, but it was my path. It is the right decision.
J'aime maintenant les éléphants, ça devient comme une partie de ma vie. J'aime ce que je suis en train de faire comme travail.
Moi particulièrement, je veux me battre pour préserver ces éléphants qui sont restés dans la forêt.
Hi everyone, my name is Mariah Wilson and I am the Director of Silent Forests. We are having our big digital release on several global platforms thanks to the folks at Journeyman Pictures. So November 12th will be available on iTunes, Vimeo, Google Play, and Amazon. And so they've asked me to do a Q&A to tell you a little bit more about the making of Silent Forests. So I'll just start with some of the common questions that I've been getting in the festival Q&As that I've attended so far. The first question I usually get is, what was your desire to make this film, or what inspired you to make this film? I usually start with the fact that I did some eco-volunteering trips of my own. This was about 10 years ago, and through those trips and those programs I learned what a big problem poaching was becoming kind of across the globe. Wildlife trafficking of all kinds of endangered species, products, and sometimes the species themselves for the exotic pet trade. So that's what got me clued into that aspect of conservation. And so I made a short film about poaching in northeast India. It's called Kaziranga. It's about the trade in the Indian one-horned rhino and a man who's trying to reform poachers there. After I had completed that film, I really wanted to take on a feature-length film about poaching, and there were a lot of other poaching films out there, so I wanted to find a story that wasn't being told. And as soon as I started looking into the forest elephants in Central Africa, I realized that there was a lot happening there. There was an amazingly high poaching pressure going on, especially when I started this film in 2014, 2015. And I realized that there were some conservationists there that were doing incredible work on the ground, including one woman who I'd even read about previously, who's one of the first female eco-guards in Cameroon. And so she's right in the same area of the Congo Basin where there are a lot of forest elephants. And so I realized, I kind of saw the story coming together and realized this area, this region, and this subspecies of elephant, which is so important to the growth of the forest in the Congo Basin, that was going to be my focus, and that was how this whole story began. So another question I usually get is how long did it take to make the film? So I began pre-production and development on Silent Forests in late 2014. The first shoot we did was early 2015, and we released in early 2019. So it was pretty much a 4-year process. We did 3 shoots. Each one was about 1 month long. 2 were in Cameroon. 1 was in Congo, Brazzaville. And in between, kind of typical of a lot of independent documentaries, you go through your footage, you work on getting some sample scenes and a trailer together, you do a lot of fundraising. That's probably what takes the most time and effort, honestly. And then you work on preparing for your next shoot. And then for the last year and a half, it was post-production. So we were working on editing and then working on the score and the music of the film and putting on all the finishing touches. So one thing I would like to point out is the thing that all of the subjects that we have in the film, what they have in common is this amazing amount of passion for what they do and activism in spite of all the challenges that they're up against. The impression that me and my filmmaking partner, co-producer and director of photography, Zeb Smith, the impression we came away with was that the corruption in a lot of these places is so endemic and so hard to overcome when you're trying to do the right thing, that the challenges to effective conservation are significant. And I also feel like this is a really under-resourced part of Africa in comparison to, say, Eastern Africa and South Africa. I feel like there are a lot more NGOs over there that maybe have some more resources on their side, whereas in Central Africa, it seems to get overlooked in terms of the amount of efforts going into protecting species there. Though I think that is changing as people realize what a problem the poaching is there, especially forest elephant poaching. So I would just, want to point out and I guess celebrate the fact that these activists that we filmed with and conservationists really all are incredibly motivated to do the work they do. And and I was motivated just being there with them and seeing their dedication they put in every single day. So that probably leads me to the next question I get the most, which is difficulties. What was the hardest part of making this film? Naturally, when you're out in the middle of a really remote jungle, there are some inherent difficulties in filmmaking. Sometimes things that are really frustrating at the moment, but in hindsight make some kind of like fun stories. So I do have a few good anecdotes from our time in the Congo Basin. One of my favorite stories to tell is when we were filming our main interview with Sidonie, who is the female eco guard. We were out in the forest and had set up just kind of on a side of a path with our cameras, and we had her sitting on one of our light boxes, one of our Pelican cases. And so started conducting the interview. I had a lot of questions for her. We're about 45 minutes in, and we start hearing this rustling sound in the bushes nearby, and it's getting louder and louder and louder. And one of us goes over and looks, and there's a swarm of army ants coming our way. I mean, just thousands, maybe tens of thousands. And they traverse their way through the forest, and anything in their path kind of gets overtaken. And so we were able to time it and realize we had about 10 minutes left before the ants were on us. So I started asking questions more quickly. Question. I got to the last question, and the ants were starting to crawl up on us and sting us and everything. So basically, we ended the interview. I hopped away. We were smacking ants off of us. They passed through all of our equipment, and then they were gone. And we returned and picked up our gear and brushed off a few left behind ants and stragglers and carried on with our shoot. So fun adventures like that happen when you are shooting out in the jungle. And yeah, we definitely had our fair share of challenges. In fact, one of the biggest challenges to the whole film was filming the forest elephants themselves. They're very elusive on the best of days, which is strange when you think of an animal as large as an elephant, but the forests are so dense that they are able to basically hide in plain sight. And unless they're out in a clearing, you wouldn't even know that there was an elephant nearby you until they start making some noise or walking. So our first 2 shoots in Cameroon, the population of forest elephants there has really been hit super hard by poaching. The rough numbers are that the population is down 70 to 80%, which is pretty devastating, obviously. So those first 2 shoots, we saw signs of the elephants, we saw tracks, we saw scat or poop, but we did not see a single elephant. And so I was starting to get very worried that I can't really make a film about forest elephants if I don't have any footage of forest elephants. And so the 3rd shoot, we went back with a forest elephant biologist who studies at these clearings in a very remote part of Congo Brazzaville. And we brought an infrared camera at that time because we realized that our best chance of filming them was at nighttime because they feel more comfortable about coming out in the clearings under the cloak of darkness. So we set up on one of the platforms, the observation platforms that our biologist had built one night, and set everything up, and we went to bed. And in the middle of the night, we woke up to a sound of splashing, and we quietly get up and turn on all the cameras, and I couldn't see anything. It was just pitch black as far as I could see. But my DP, Zeb, taps me excitedly on the arm, and I knew at that moment that we had finally gotten some footage. And I think it ended up being one of the most magical and powerful scenes in the film, the nighttime scene, because the elephants were displaying a lot of their natural behaviors. There were families, matriarchs, and babies, and we even were lucky enough to capture the footage of a baby nursing from its mother. So that was really beautiful. And yeah, I'm so proud with how the film turned out, and I'm so happy that you might be interested in watching it, and I encourage you to. And I also am encouraging everybody to visit our website, which is silentforest.com. And on that website, if you click on Featured Conservationists, we have all these different ways that you can support some of the people that you will see in the film. So thanks for watching. Big thanks to Journeyman for helping us get this project out in the world. And yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me through the website, and I will do my best to answer them.